Good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to Firestorm Freerunning and Acrobatics. My name is Justin Taylor, and today we are going to do a new warm-up exercise. This is called C.A.R.S, or Controlled Articular Rotation. That is a fancy way for saying we're going to learn to strengthen our joints and increase our mobility. So real quick before we get into it, I want to talk about the difference between mobility and flexibility. You see, flexibility is how far you can extend a joint in one range, as far as it can go. But if my arm is all the way back here like this, it's not very strong here. It can stretch this far, but there's no power and strength. I can't utilize it in that area. That is flexibility. Mobility is how far I can extend while still being strong enough to utilize that joint at that end of range. Flexibility is cool, but it's not gonna be as functional and usable as mobility. I don't wanna stretch something back here and not be able to use it. Pointless. We want range that we can go through but still be strong enough to use our muscles at that end of range. So we're going to be doing this to increase the strength and the mobility of all the different joints in our body. And we're going to start today with a 10 to 15 minute warm-up exercise that hits every joint from our neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists. We're going to do one for the entire length of our spine. We're going to hit our hips, our knees, and our ankles. So all of these different joints throughout our body are gaining strength, right? And getting put in weird end range positions where they're still strong. So when you fall down, go boom, you're not gonna be at the end range of flexibility where you're not strong and something's gonna hurt yourself. You're still gonna be strong in that range. And in parkour, tumbling, all these different sports like tricking, we fall down sometimes and land in weird positions. We need to be strong in those weird positions. So we're gonna put ourselves through every possible end range of position in our joints, as in how far we can go in one direction or another, and we're gonna build strength through those ranges. Are you ready to get started? Yeah! All I hear is the SpongeBob thing. Are you ready, kids? I don't know why SpongeBob was in a Mickey Mouse voice, but yeah, there you go. So the first one we're gonna start with today is our neck. We're gonna work our way from the top all the way down to the ground. So whenever we're gonna do one of these things, since we wanna focus on one single joint at a time, we need to do what's called irradiation, or basically just tightening every other joint in our body. If I'm doing my neck right here, I wanna be moving just my neck. I don't wanna be using my hips, my back, my shoulder, because then I'm not really strengthening this one joint, all right? I'm compensating by using all these other ones in my body. It's no good. So what we're gonna do, get a little hair whip there to get started. What we're gonna do is we're gonna irradiate. So I'm gonna start with my feet down on the ground, and what I'm gonna do is, instead of just standing here, I'm gonna pretend that I am on two plates, and I'm gonna try to turn my feet outward while gripping the ground. That's squeezing my ankles and my legs and locking them in place. I'm gonna squeeze my butt cheeks, locking my hips in place. I'm gonna squeeze my abs along with my butt cheeks to lock my spine in place. And I'm gonna squeeze my arms down to my sides. You can see all of a sudden I get chesticles, right? You get a little buffer looking there, right? Because now I'm squeezing all of my stuff in line. The only one I can move now is my head. When I do this, I also want to kind of squeeze my fingers. When you squeeze, you want to squeeze somewhere in the like 30 to 50% range. I'm not squeezing so hard that I'm suddenly going to pass out, although watching people do that is really entertaining. Not what we want to start with today. So I'm going to squeeze everything. I'm squeezing my ankles, pushing my toes out, squeezing my butt cheeks and my thighs, squeezing my abs, squeezing my chest, and squeezing those hands down to my sides. So now it's just my head and my very loud mouth that is moving. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck our chin all the way down. You'll notice I am not leaning forward with my chest or my spine. And I'm gonna very slowly turn my chin and try to look as far behind me as I can, and then up and over in a huge circle as high as I can lift my chin. So you can hear this weird sounding voice all the way over looking behind me, coming down here and scraping against my chest, all the way back to where I started. I always like to go a little past there. Whoop. And then we'd come back and go in our opposite direction. You want to be moving nice and slow, like you're pushing your way through a giant puddle of mud, nice thick mud. So I'm coming down, I'm putting a lot of force in, all the way down, so I can yell, try to eat the microphone, and all the way back. Every time you finish one of these, you should feel like there's a lot of blood pulsing through all the muscles in this area. My neck feels nice and warmed up. I can move it around, but I'm not doing this lazy moving around that doesn't really gain me any strength or flexibility, strength or mobility. That's why I'm squeezing and forcing myself to fight against my own muscles to build that strength. From there, we're gonna move to our shoulders. Now there's a lot of different shoulder ones. There's actually lots of different ways to do controlled articular rotation for all the different joints. We're just gonna go over one type for each joint today. So for today's one, we're gonna play a little game of Donatello. Yeah! That's right. We are a famous sculptor? No, he wasn't a sculptor. What was Donatello from antiquity? Yeah, you don't know either? Okay, I don't feel bad because none of you responded in class, so we're all on the same page. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna grab this bar, and while we're holding our bar, not only are we gonna squeeze, we don't wanna be bending our elbow while we're doing our shoulder joints. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to break this bar. You can actually see my elbows twist down and back as I do this because I'm squeezing the bar and trying to break it. This is gonna lock out my arm, so I'm not using my elbows to compensate for the shoulder stuff we're gonna do. So once again, I'm gonna irradiate my body. I'm gonna squeeze those toes and turn them into the ground, squeeze my butt cheeks, squeeze my abs, hands down on my sides, and now I'm gonna bend my elbows, trying to break, or sorry, straighten my elbows, trying to break this bar. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my shoulders as far back as I can. All right, from here, very slowly, I'm gonna try to create a square with my shoulders. I'm pulling them up, I'm gonna draw a square with my shoulders. And what I'm gonna do is I'm pulling my shoulders as up and as far back as I can. And now slowly, I'm gonna round them forward to in front of me and get that front upper part of that square, right? I got it there. Woo! You can see I'm already shaky a little bit. It's actually a little tiring. I'm gonna push down as far forward as we can go, still trying to break the bar. And that's as far as my shoulders can go, really straining. And now I'm gonna pull them back behind me once again, as far back as they can go while keeping this bar against my thighs. Woo! From there, we're gonna reverse direction. I'm pulling them as far forward as they can while still keeping the bars to my thighs. And I can feel this through the bridge between my shoulders, my neck, and my traps. I'm now gonna pull them up, moving nice and slow, like I'm moving through that mud, all the way up in front of me as high as they can, pulling it back, behind me as far back as I can, squeezing, and then pulling back down across the back, still squeezing my butt cheeks, still squeezing my feet, everything all the way down. Oh, woo! The thing about these things is, remember, you're trying to build strength in those joints, so we are actually straining while we do this. Nothing should ever hurt, but it should feel like a workout, like I'm making you lift a bunch of weight or hold a really intense, difficult position to hold for a long period of time. I want you actually straining while you do these. So we hit our neck, we hit our shoulders. Before we move on to our spine and our lower body, we're gonna hit our upper extremities, our arms. The first one we're gonna start with today is our elbows. So what we're gonna do, just like every other time, we're gonna irradiate, turning the feet out, boop, as hard as I can on the ground, squeezing my thighs and my butt cheeks, chest up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to pull my elbows into my sides. And what I don't wanna see is any shoulder movement right here. I'm gonna try my best to keep my elbows locked in place. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn my palms up, and while squeezing my elbows into my sides continuously the entire time, tiring out my arms and shoulders and back, I'm gonna slowly bring my arms in as close to my chest as I can. You can see how slow they're moving. I'm squeezing them very tight and using my own muscles to fight against me. As high up as I can go, and as wide outward as I can get those hands to go while keeping my elbows locked in place. We're gonna go all the way down. Whew. I wish I could make you guys feel this right now, but then again, if you're following along, you totally are feeling it. Oh, because it is actually quite strenuous. Again, keeping my elbows where they are, turning outward. I'm gonna pull them all the way up on the outside, and I can feel this all the way from the back of my shoulder, down my back, all the way back into my elbows, all the way in front of me, crisscrossing the front, still squeezing. I don't wanna let my elbows flare out, right? I'm squeezing into my sides, coming all the way down, and back where I started. Woo! Man, it is pretty much like winter time inside here, and yet I am already getting a little sweaty from this thing, and I've only done 3 of my joints. The next one we're gonna do are our wrists. Wrists are really hard because as I move my wrist, if you watch right here, you can see the flat part, watch the black rank band right there. As I start to move my wrist, see how I've already actually rotated the 2 bones inside here. I'm rotating now at the elbow. That's not gonna help me. I have to get this locked in place as we're gonna move around. The easiest way to do that is to find yourself a cute little wall. This wall's a little tall for me, but I think I can make it work. So what I'm gonna be doing is placing the end of my wrist right here over the edge of this wall. And what I'm gonna be trying to do is keep the bottom of my forearm completely flat on here the entire time. And what we're gonna do is we are going to squeeze down with our forearms. Remember, I'm still back here, but I am squeezing my toes out. I'm squeezing my butt cheeks. I'm squeezing my abs and my shoulders because I'm trying to lock all those. The rest of my body's gonna try not to move. I'm gonna point my fingers nice and straight, right? I'm not gonna bend all these additional little joints in my fingers right now. I'm not gonna be bending them to try to make this easier. I'm gonna try to keep them as straight as I can the entire time. I find this one to be difficult, so expect to have some trouble with this when you first start. I'm gonna start by pulling my wrists down as far as I can. We're gonna go and pull them out to the outside. You can see how little they're actually going to the outside, right? I've broken my wrists a few times, so I have to do this exercise to build additional strength. I'm then gonna pull them up as high as I can. Hello. Pull them into the inside. When I do this, I'm not letting it rotate or lift my elbow, right? I'm keeping my forearms flat as I can, all the way down, right here to the starting point again. And now I'm gonna turn them to the inside, all the way up. You guys should be following along so you can enjoy everything I'm going through. All right, all the way over to the outside, bringing it over, bringing it down. Woo! My entire arms are tired from that. All right, beautiful people, we're back and we are gonna move on to doing our spine this time for that controlled articular rotation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get down on all fours, trying to make a nice flat tabletop with our back. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly move from a fully rounded or hollow position to a fully arched position so I can pop that booty, getting ready for the dance floor, as much as possible. We're gonna start in one position and try to move each tiny segment of our spine one at a time, flexing or contracting that part of our spine to go from a hollow to an arch. So what I'm not gonna do is similar to a yoga style where you go here and then you arch. What I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna start here in my rounded hollow position and I'm squeezing everything. So if you look at my hands, just like my feet before, I'm trying to turn them out. I'm squeezing my butt cheeks. These are pretty much my ankles right here, the only thing that's kind of loose because there's not much I can do here with these, but I'm gonna squeeze everything else. And what I'm slowly going to do is start by pulling just my head. The rest of me is still rounded. Got my head all the way up. And now I'm gonna try to sink down between my shoulder blades, right there. And then a little bit lower down the spine. You can still see I'm still trying to keep my butt rounded the entire time. Coming through one piece of the spine at a time. All the way until we get, woo, to my butt now is arched up in the air. And now from here, I'm gonna start with my butt and slowly round it underneath my body, moving piece by piece through my spine, all the way up till I'm at my shoulders, and then all the way down onto my head. Woo! Again, you can hear I'm slightly out of breath from doing that because I'm squeezing all of my muscles in my body the entire time. Although this is what I'm moving through the range of motion, every other muscle group and joint is trying to lock out and squeeze the muscles so they're not compensating for the movement in the spine, which means the rest of my muscles are all squeezing and flexing. If you've ever stood there and just squeezed everything in your body, you will discover how quickly you get tired. All right, from there, we're gonna move on to our lower extremities. All right, we're gonna start with our hips. There are lots and lots of different ones for controlled articular rotation, especially of the hips. So for this one, I'm gonna show you one of the ones that I really enjoy doing that I've discovered and has worked really well for me. And then you guys can look around online. There's lots of different ones. Find the one that seems to work best for you. But most importantly, when you start doing this thing to increase the strength in your joints and your hips, don't just do the same one over and over again. Just like training, you don't do a Kong the exact same way, right? You pick different equipment, different height, different landings, different distances. Same thing, choose some different ones and try to mess it up a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get back in this all fours position. And here's what's gonna be hard about this one. I'm basically gonna be doing a big giant knee circle. I'm gonna pull my knee in, up, out as far as I can, around, pulling it up behind me, over to the side, and then back in to start rubbing against this leg. Basically making a big circle that goes around behind me and just dips in just to get around this other leg. When I do this, the hard part, and you're gonna see me probably do it a little bit because I still need to focus on it, just like everybody does, is my hips kind of move a little. I'm trying to keep my hips locked in place this entire time. I don't wanna be leaning or turning, but that is the hard part. So I'll show you just one hip right now. I'm gonna start, I'm gonna squeeze this left leg into my right leg, Bring it all the way up and forward as close to my arms as I can. Into this arm, I gotta go around. I'm gonna pull up, over, as high up as I can. Remember, I'm not leaning over to do this. I'm trying to lock my hip in place. Up and around behind me, lifting that foot as high as I can. Still squeezing my arms and every other part of my body down behind next to my leg and back over to where I started. Then we're gonna go the opposite direction, same thing. Lifting up behind me as high as I can without turning the hip, over and around to the outside, as high as I can, all the way forward, around that arm, all the way forward as far as I can. Oh, I'm back to that starting position. And whoo, boy, am I tired. Now, you know what to do, so I'm not gonna show you the other hip. That one's on you guys to do as you see fit. We're gonna move on to our last two joints, our knees and our ankles. One other thing is you can also do this for all of your smaller joints, like your fingers, your knuckles, same thing with your toes. We're not gonna be going over this today, just our big joints. Look at all them little joints, woo, phalanges. So again, there's a bunch of different ones to do. I'm gonna show you one of my favorites for the knee. So what we're gonna be doing is to make sure that I'm not compensating too much using my back or my spine to make things easier on my knee. I can put myself against a nice wall like this, or anything you want to lean yourself up against. I'm going to start with my right knee, and what I'm going to be doing for the knee is I'm going to bring, if it's my right leg, I'm going to bring my right arm underneath, and I'm trying to bring my kneecap and my elbow as close together as possible. Now, to make sure I'm holding it in place, I'm going to reach over here and grab right here on my bicep or behind me on my tricep and try to hold that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over here to grab just underneath the knee. So it's like I'm trying to put my leg into a sleeper hold. You take that. I worry about myself sometimes. All right, we're gonna hold in this position. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna extend the leg as high up as I can, back down as tight and tucked as I can without letting this thigh and the knee move, right? I don't want, as I extend, to be doing this kind of thing. I want to go here, and I want to extend that leg up and back down. Now, in order to make sure I'm actually getting some rotation there, I'm going to take my toe, bloop, and turn it as far as I can without letting my hip pull it to the outside. So I'd be pulling here. You can say I can pull my foot there or this direction, not very far to the inside. I gotta work on that more, right? So I'm gonna try to go here all the way down and up, all the way over, down and up while locking this thigh and knee in place. So again, I'm gonna put it back in its sleeper hold right here underneath the knee. And I'm gonna turn for right now, I'm gonna turn my foot to the outside as far as it'll turn. And again, I'm squeezing every other part of my body and slowly extending that leg up as high as I can. Woo! And for right now, we're gonna turn it the other direction as far to my left as I can and slowly bring it back down. Again, pretending like I'm moving through a giant puddle of super thick mud. Nice and slow, fighting against my own muscles. From here, I'm gonna keep it to the left, slowly extend it all the way up. If you wanna make it a little harder, I'm actually pushing down on my leg with my left hand, so I have to fight against my own arm strength as well to get it up. Get it up as high as I can, extended. Twist the foot on the outside to the opposite side, and slowly bring it back down while twisting it as hard as I can to the right. Whew! Oh, I'm alive. To the opposite side. Again, I'm not gonna be doing my left leg right now because now you know what to do and you've seen. So what we're gonna move on to is our last one is our ankle. All right. The cool thing about this one is we're doing the same thing we just did on the knee. I'm grabbing underneath, right? Reaching over, grabbing on the backs of the tricep, but instead of grabbing right here above the knee this time, I'm gonna be grabbing right down here above my ankle. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to keep this bend and lock it in place as I move my ankle through its range of motion. What I don't want to be doing again is twisting using my hips, my back, or allowing my leg to extend or contract as I do this. So I'm gonna lock it in place. I flex my toe up as high as I can in the air. I'm gonna squeeze the rest of my body. I'm actually squeezing this leg and trying to push it into the ground right now. I've got my toe up, and I'm gonna very slowly move it to the outside and try to create the biggest possible circle when I do this with my toes all the way up. Do not be surprised when you do this, other direction, if you start to cramp in your plantar fascia. That's that little arched part underneath the center of your foot. Woo, all the way up. Yeah. Right inside here. Don't be surprised if you start to feel a little cramping there, or cramping on top right here. Usually, you are not squeezing that hard in a full arch or a full point when you are doing this kind of stuff with your foot during your normal training. So getting to that new range of motion and then squeezing really intensely can cause that to cramp a little bit. If that happens, just relax, wiggle your toes, let it go away, and then continue on your range of motion. All right? Again, I'm not going to show you the other side because you only need to know how to do one side. You can take care of yourself. This is a great exercise you can do, number one, not only to strengthen your joints and increase the mobility, but number two, this is really awesome as a warm-up because through all the irradiation and squeezing and pumping all that blood through your body as well as hitting the range of motion, you're really warming up every single joint individually while keeping the rest of your body warm because you're squeezing and pushing blood through all of those muscle groups. And last but not least, what's so great about this thing is that because you are constantly putting your body and creating strain in this weird, if I'm doing my ankle right, this weird kind of sideways off to the side thing, if I land like this, my body now has had training and built strength at that weird angle that I don't normally practice. If you do your precision jumps every time and you only practice a perfect precision jump and landing right here, the first time you land a little awkward, right, you're gonna roll that ankle, you're gonna hurt it. But if you have done controlled articular rotation and you build strength, right, from going through that position, when you land there, your body will be strong there. It will help protect you from injuries. So you're gonna get a good warm-up, you're gonna get more mobility, you're gonna gain strength, and you're gonna help protect yourself from future injuries by strengthening these joints and getting yourself used to those weird landing positions. I really recommend trying to do at least a little bit of this every day. If you're sitting in front of the TV doing nothing, right, grab that leg, do some knee ones, do some ankle ones. You just chilling behind a desk, no reason you can't squeeze your body and start going through the range of motion with your wrists. Remember to take your time, irradiate, pretend that you're moving through mud. You should be tired when you're done with these. My God, you guys are getting really close. Hey. All right, this has been Justin Taylor with Firestorm Freerunning. You guys are awesome. Please enjoy your warm-up. Go train safe, train hard, be awesome, and I will see your beautiful faces next week for some more parkour tutorials. Toodles! Get out of here! That's right. Oh God.